Midnight special. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? So good to see you. It says live, so I feel alive. I hope you're alive as well. And to those who are on the other side, well, jump on in. It's good. The water's fine. So, hey, how was y'all's weekend? Did you have a good one? I hope so. They don't give us enough time off, do they? But then again, I don't know. I tell you, I think that we're all gods. I really do. I believe each and every one of us live in our own realities. And then that's somehow connected to the mainframe. Call us a thin client solution. But however, having said that, um, when you look at this, I mean, boredom would be that it would be hell. I mean, for gods to become bored, I mean, that's not a good situation. I think chaos is the result of that. So, just saying to everyone, don't become bored. Find something you're doing. Hello, Kaz Hawk. Hello, David Barry. Hello to Susie Q and the other moderators. And thank you all for the rest of y'all coming in. I see Lost in Space, Infant Frequencies, 611. Love it. Gaza, good to see you, buddy. PW Lady, good to thank you. Let's see, man. Now that I'm going, it's going. So, how many of you have seen the movie Doctor Sleep? Yeah. It's the sequel to The Shining. You really should watch it. Wow. The dude that wrote the story that Stephen King wrote the first one, The Shining, and the second one with Doctor Sleep, it's Danny some 40 years later. Oh man, they depicted, I'm not going to spoil it for you. Go watch it. And if you can't watch it, well, then email me and I'll tell you the whole plot. But wow. So I see that Chris in the community, Chris P, is needing work. Well, I'll tell you what, Chris, what do you do? And where are you living at? And we'll put it out there. In the meantime, everyone just simply see Chris, see the name Chris. And I actually just seen it stamped employed. So that's what I'm putting out there. And I happen to know that it's not only my words that go forth, they shall not return unto me void, but they shall prosper in the things for which I have sent them to go forth. Because in my word is the containment of my thought. And my thought is the seed that gives birth to what I call infinite possibilities. So there, far out, eh? Hey, Blanca, how you doing? So good to see. There's Maria, Amamar. Good to see you, my dear. Chase, hello. Skyheart, Nina the Mystic. Good to see you. Suzanne, Cece, good to see you as well. Far out. I got to tell you what, Chris, I expect you to give us a good result. I do believe that. Tomorrow, Miss Trina, the second look. And, well, I don't know about you, but last night, man, I was in probably the deepest sleep that I can remember. I was in such a deep sleep, my wife was actually almost concerned because, as she said, and she's a nurse, she's never seen me in that type of a deep sleep. So to anyone else, it's almost like there was a frequency. I don't know. Maybe it was nothing than other being tired, but I really wasn't tired. All right, we got a lot to do, folks. Let's see. Hey, Lori, good to see you. Yeah, well, it was pretty powerful for myself. I got to say that. Hey, Julianne Payne, how are you? So good to Ken. Good to see you. So many people coming in. Friday was pretty heavy, wasn't it? It's serious. It's all about control. That's what they want us. You can't have and I'll just be very kind about this, basically 7.5 billion little gods walking around on a planet with freedom of thought. And maybe, I don't know, poquito, the reality that that's exactly what we are. What an opportunity to come into the flesh, right? And begin to actually manifest matter. I believe all of us can do it in the spirit. I think it's a prerequisite for you to be here. I really do believe that. There was, this thing. Hey, hello, Stormy. Good to see you. So I have to get my thoughts back there. If we knew that we had the ability to completely change the whole construct, the whole background, the whole dynamics, the whole energy. And if you were in control, well, that would represent, let's say, a critical threat to your well-being and your infrastructure. But I think that's what it is. You look at this, whether it's religion, politics, ideologies of varied assortment, they try finding something in here that they've pre-programmed in here that all makes us bigots at one time. I could just go on to say a whole length of things. I was meditating last night before I went to sleep. And why is it that humanity, our souls, are, and I don't know the right way to put this, covered with anything other than love? I think that's what we are. But there seems to be a contamination that saturates our essences, that introduces to us these foreign concepts of, avarice, greed. I mean, just fill in the blank. Because when we pass over, at least those of us who are classified, and there is a classification of souls, we're human. We're not Palladian. We're not a Zeta Reticula. We're human. And I think that distinction goes with us into the next realm. And when we exhume the last essence of who we are, it's always that light. Yeah, it's amazing. All right, I spoke all that to say, all right, I had promised that we were going to look at the clue that, and this is just my little way that my mind works, on this whole thing of, Somerset Belanoff. In fact, let's get right into it because it's rather cool when you get into this, folks. So let's go over here. So I got a lot to share. Boy, a lot to do here. And I don't even think we're going to get into the pick up where we left on Thursday on the NWO, but that's cool. We'll pick up on that later this week. So all of you know the hubdub that went around the internet on who is Somerset Belanoff, whether she lived or didn't live. Well, you know what? When I began to think about it, and I read everything else they associated to the name, and they actually said that in their, I call this a press release, that this is a code. I don't think it was ever about this person. I think it was about the name. So walk with me, if you will. So the first clue, and this came to me in a lucid dream state. The first name, Somerset. If you look at summer, you turn that over to summer. Set is equal within, so it would be Summer's end. All right. Following with me so far? Good. So the next one was a little more difficult because in this one, the name Belanoff. Well, I began to look at this, and we're going to get into Bel. Bel actually means Lord Master. It is directly associated with Marduk, Baal, Enyel. En is Spanish for in. Off is like oft, murdered, killed. And so I want to stop right here because I want to go into something because this is interesting. Give me a second here, folks, because I'm in multiple modes. All right, we'll get into this as to what the clean, but I want to show you something. So the researcher that I am, so I said, all right, this is a code. They said it was a code. So Bel is an Akkadian from Belu, signifying Lord or Master. It is the title rather than the genuine name. It goes back to Mesopotamia in the religion of the Akkadians, Assyrians, and Babylonians. The feminine form of Belet, lady, mistress. So Bel is represented in Greek as Belos. Latin, Belos, linguistically, Baal is the East Semitic form of the cognate of the Northwestern Semitic Baal. Excuse me. So, Baal. What the freak? Gets better. You can see how the earlier translators had it for the Akkadian, believed that the ideogram for the god called in Sumerian Enyel was to be read as Bel in Akkadian. Current scholarship holds that this is incorrect, but one finds Bel used in referring Enyel in older translations and discussions. Enyel. These ancient Samaritan deities were before all the others. The Hindus, the Jews, the Christians, the Muslims, the Taoists, the Baoists, whoever. So Bel became especially used for the Babylonian god Marduk. And when found in Assyrian and Neo-Babylonian personal names are mentioned in inscriptions in a Mesopotamian context, it can usually be taken as referring to Marduk and no other god. Similarly, Belit, without some disambiguation, mostly refers to Bel, Marduk's spouse. All right, like I said, you can interpret it however you want. This was my work, and my mind is a wonderful place. It's an amusement park that never disappoints. So we have the male and we have the feminine. However, Marduk's mother, the Sumerian goddess called Ninhursag, Damikinin, Ninamah, and other names in Sumerian, has also been known as Belet Ilil, Lady of the Gods of Akkadian. It goes on with the other gods called Lord, could be at sometimes were identified totally in part with Bel Marduk. The god Belek, Bel, of the polymer is an example. Through in the later period in which most of our information comes, he seems to have become very much a sun god. Now, I don't know about you. I'll be more than willing to share this. You can see with Palomar, that all of this is there. And it gets stranger as you really get this word Balanoff. It permeates all religion. And religion dominates all politics. And it gets directly into the Bible. Well, of course, their patriarch came from Sumer, was a chief priest. Do you think Abram just suddenly met some foreign god that changed its name to Jehovah, the Elohim, Yahweh? I contend it's not that at all. It is most likely Enlil that the world still worships. And you can see how Baal's mentioned in the Bible, goes all through here. Just stare at this. Allow the psychic information to penetrate your mind's eye. Folks, this is some weird stuff. Now, let's get back to where we were dealing with the code. So here we have the name Belanoff. And this again is just me. I see this and interpret this as the following. When summer ends, the culling begins as Enlil kills them off. That's my interpretation. I could be wrong. Again, this is code. But I find it interesting that this was my decoding of the name itself, because the name is what's really important here, not the individual. So, again, when the summer ends, the culling begins as Enlil kills them off. Who is them? Well, got a sneaky suspicion it may be us. I don't know. That could be. Who knows? But hey, So do your own research. Tell me what you come up with. Love to hear it. Well, thank you, Julianne. Folks, facts. I couldn't get away from this. The thing was like, it was a psych job. This is an MK Ultra. It's all about control. They have to control us, but they can't do anything unless they it's like this universal law, Well, if you're going to really, hurt them, you've got to tell them first. Well, we can't do that. Then they'd know. Well, you got to do it. Well, let's see. We could do it in code. Many people will tell you that the ancient writers of the holy books, whether it any faith, they wrote in code because tyranny was still alive back then, as much alive today. And it's true. It's everywhere. So anyway, tell me what you think. I think it's pretty cool myself. Now, I have, I tried to bring to you something that you don't typically find in other channels and that, I can share with you. This is a book, PDF, that you should have. And it says, you are being lied to. This is a most interesting book. Let me get in here and get to the page I want to get to. There we go. So let's get this up there to those you don't need a magnifying glass to look at. Like, well, what the hell, Steiger? All right. So they get into the news media, other manipulators. You're going to enjoy this book. and you get into the politricks. I love that way of doing it. You get into the official version, social fabrication. Folks, it's so bad. If we have a program that we, like I'm very much into the science and history programs, we tape them now. We record them because the amount, particularly with Americans are probably the most conditioned society. Probably next is Europe, etc. China, communism uses a different approach, but the same application. And everything you see, one of the conditionings that you'll see on modern day commercials in the United States is they're sewing into this thing that there has to be mixed races. All the commercials that you see by the vast majority have one gender being one race, the other gender being a different race. And this is subliminally telling the audience, because remember, it's television, that this is the way to begin to get to this harmony. The other thing in the MKL mind control that's going on is, I think I said MKL, MK Ultra, is the drug commercials. It shouldn't be allowed at all, but you're not going to change that in Congress, because if you take away Big Pharma's ability to do its mind control in conditioning of the slaves, the chattel, us, because I will assure you this, if you watch enough television, you will begin to exhibit a symptom. And they've got the answer. And that's the idea, to tax you until the very day that you die. So check this out. If you want it, it's a great read. It's a long read, but I'm not stopping there. We're continuing on, because we're going to really get into a fun little thing that I think you're going to enjoy. So let me pull it up here. Do-wop-a-wop, my baby. Here we go. This is a book called 100 Things You Are Not Supposed to Know: Secrets, Conspiracy, Cover-Ups, and Absurdities. This is a book by Russ Kick. I love that, because basically this is what they condition us for. You don't see anything, you don't hear anything, you don't speak anything. We've all been conditioned with what we call I call them sigils. These are sigils. And if you begin to look at this, you can begin to see how certain sigils, symbols, begin to unfold as a flower, a thought within a thought. You can look at each one of these symbols, and you yourself can begin to immediately identify with any number of these. Each one speaks volumes within the symbol itself. It's part of the conditioning. So let's get into the first one. You are going to love this one, because these are some of the things that you're just going, All right. So 10 Commandments. You know the 10 Commandments. Why, we've seen battles here in the United States, about, I think it was Alabama, that had the stone monument with the 10 Commandments of God. It's an outright goddamn lie. There are no freaking 10 Commandments. Never have been. Invented to condition us with fear. Fear. The only thing here is fear. Because remember, this God kills us. By its own admission, it wiped our ancestors out. But let's continue. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So the 10 Commandments are actually called a decalogue. Remember that. We'll get into what a decalogue is. You see, every decalogue you see, from the 5,000-pound granite behemoth inside the Alabama State Judicial Building to the little wallet cards sold at Christian bookstores, are bogus. Simply reading the Bible will prove this. Get out your King James Version, turn to Exodus 22 through 17. You'll soon see the familiar list of rules about having no other gods, honoring your parents, not killing or coveting, and so on. At this point, though, Moses is just repeating to the people what God told him on Mount Sinai, as the story goes. These are not written down in any form. Oh, no, no. Later, Moses goes back, and read this yourself, to the mountain where God gives him 2 tablets of stone with rules written on them. Not laws, rules. That's in Exodus 31:18. But when Moses comes down the mountain lugging his load, he sees the people worshiping Baal, Marduk. The statue of a calf, golden calf, causing him to throw in a temper tantrum and smash the tablets to the ground. That's Exodus 32:19. In neither case does the Bible refer to commandments. In the first instance, they are words which God spoke, while the tablets contain testimony. Actually, some say it was only 10 symbols. It is only when Moses goes back for the new tablets that we see the phrase 10 Commandments. Hello, Charleston Heston and Cecil B. DeMille. In the interesting turn of events, the commandments on these tablets are significantly different than the 10 rules Moses recites for the people, meaning that either Moses' memory is faulty or God changed his mind. Thus, without further ado, we present to you the real 10 Commandments as handed down by the Lord unto Moses and plainly listed in Exodus 34:13 through 28. We eagerly await all new decalogues, which will undoubtedly contain the correct version. You ready for this? The first symbol, thou shalt not worship any other god. And notice how the god is done. 2, thou shalt make thee no molten gods. I think this God got pissed off and said, what? 3, the feast of unleavened bread thou shalt keep. And I'm sure they spoke something other than old Elizabethan English. 6 days you shall work, but on the 7th day you shall rest. You shall observe the feast of weeks, of the first fruits of wheat harvest, and the feast of ingathering at the year's end. You have to read this book called The 10 Tribes. You have to, these people were not nomadic. They had been conditioned. They were Egyptian more than they were Hebrew. They had blended completely into the Egyptian society. And the Egyptian culture and society was advanced. And here they are coming into this wilderness, and you can see their whole God structure is built upon the harvest. I digress. 3 times in the year shall you and all your men children appear before the Lord God. It's very interesting. Lord God. Who is Lord? Who knows it? Come on. Baal. That's a direct translation. There's no interpreting. It's a direct translation. Lord means Baal. Anyway, you shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leaven. You can see this is a blood cult society. Neither shall the sacrifice of the feast of the Passover be left unto the morning. The first fruits, the first of the first fruits is thy land thou shalt bring, unto the Lord thy God. Here, Lord is capitalized, Baal, thy God. And finally, you shall not see a kid, i.e. young goat, take a young goat from his mother's milk. Weird. Nothing. And let me get out of here. We'll just, because this is interesting stuff. We'll continue on with it, but there you go, folks. I mean, it's conditioning, control. That's what this is all about. And I can go in, and we might continue to go on as you go forward. Most of these things, for instance, there was one of the popes who wrote what today would be classified as pornography, heavy sexual perversion. These are the things. But today we're so conditioned, people's memories, particularly the younger generations now, they're being programmed by a device. And if you can step back and look at this objectively, you begin to realize that there's something very, very wrong going on here. These devices, we all have one. Hell, I'm sitting in here and I've got 4, 5. This is an invasion. I think Parasite won best movie, I think. I don't know who did. I don't care. But I thought it was interesting because the movie itself is very interesting, and it's about what we're talking about. Something has happened, folks. Not going to. We're already at the end of it. We're entering into something that is as black as these boxes are. I cannot help, and think that as we get into where we left off, folks, this is, all I can say is that the evidence shows that this is their plan. Plain and simple. You look at the deviousness of it. You watch any program, and there's a number of stories out there already about this, that the youth today, in fact, this anxiety is even in those in their 40s, which I'm just really surprised about, that you take their box away, their little black control box, people go into withdrawal. It's sad, folks. Very, very sad to see what is taking place here. It's scary. And as we've seen this, and we're seeing it in the stories that we cover here, everything seems to be falling into place. And I don't like this. I don't like the whole thing about what's happening to you and I. I'm pulling up where actually we left off, and I think you have to give me a chance here. I have forgotten. Do, 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 ba, da, 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 da. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves as I know exactly where we are. I think that's exactly, or was it, continue on with yourselves. I'm just having fun here. Yeah, this is where we were. Okay, that's cool. It allows me to pull up where we were heading. It's like, well, Steiger, will you get with it, dude? Yeah, all right, all right. Again, talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, I know. You should have been more prepared. Well, actually, I had so much going on. Okay, I know where I'm at. Do y'all in the back of the bus, are you kind of feeling the little bit of how you're going back and forth? It's like, dude, would you stop it, man? Okay. Here we go. I finally got it. Boy, talk about a stall routine, really. um, and it's much like our guest Friday, Michelle. I mean, what a beautiful spirit. You just, no. And I'll say this to the ladies in the audience. Y'all demonstrate more than what males do. And I am just honored to have so many of these marvelous, marvelous souls here, particularly of representing the feminine. It's amazing today how our culture is still threatened by this. And it's a threat to the New World Order, apparently. But yet, as we saw last week, you've got the queens. I mean, I was thinking about this, the chessboard. And now let's add Alice in Wonderland. And so now I'm seeing these queens, as they're meeting, and each one dominates their chessboard. And it's anyway. So let's get on with the programming. So I hope we're understanding that the thing that we're seeing all around playing out in the world, this nonsense that it's now becoming deadly, which the Chinese have admitted that they genetically altered this thing. Of course, then they came and said, well, the United States is doing it too. Well, yeah, but it wasn't the United States who let the genie out of the bottle. And folks, I'm getting emails from people that work in particularly the medical community that there's vast movements of portable hazmats, containment units. I don't know. Maybe they're just doing an exercise. I mean, I don't like this idea, but and Brian, I sent you an email. So give me 1 second, folks, as continue to talk to yourselves because I want to pull up something. Give me 1 second. So you could see exactly what we're talking about here. There we go. Bum bum ba bum bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum bum ba dum do 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 do. So, all right, and here's what I'm sure maybe many of you have seen this. I do know, but let me show you what everyone is concerned about. Man, it's a good day. The energy is just wonderful. So here it is. It's diggle.com. And this is what's got everyone just going, well, what the hell are you guys talking about? If you look at this is the forecast for population. We see in the United States a decrease for us of 100 million people. You look at the population right here as 2017 was 327 million right here. Then you go down to here and you look at the population, and it shows a decrease of nearly 100 million people. In fact, it's a decrease of 69.5% of the United States population. Worldwide, we're seeing an expected culling 7.4 billion, which was estimated in 2017. By 2025, the culling starts, and you see it's 6.9 billion. That's a reduction of 7%. Now, the conspiracy goes, something's going to happen to the United States. And with this type of population reduction, the United States will become vulnerable. And you can fill in the blanks from there. But yeah, check it out. You can look it for yourself. Yeah. I don't know. I've known about this site for a while, and you can go in. It's just, with the United States, you can go in and look at any country. It's all there. So, is this part of their game? One aspect you can look at this and you can say that they've left clues all over the place. I don't know. It makes you kind of go, well, what are these? I don't know if they're human. I'm becoming more convinced, folks, that we're all not of the same spirit. We're all not of the same essence. I think there are those that walk among us that they're not of us. Yeah, I mean, it's control. Ultra mind control. That's what it's all about. Politics is about mind control. Religion is about mind control. Society structures in its purest essence is about mind control. You have to have a society that's cohesive. And the way that is presented in this reality is by laws. Yeah. Them silly laws. Okay. Let's see. Rita says, Dear Wayne, do you correspond with David Icke? No, we're not all of the same thinking intention. I think it's absolutely, I haven't read that much of Icke's work, but I will say this. I think the man's conclusions in many cases are valid. Watch that movie, Dr. Sleep. You see, folks, let's just talk about this. We'll get into the present, and then where we were left off. It's been rumored that these bloodlines, subsequently, others that are not of our flesh, are not of our essence. They have the same flesh bodies, but what's on the inside is nothing like most of us, what we consider to be human beings. And my wife and I were talking about this. I said, there's really something about these secret groups, these bloodlines. And now I'm convinced other entities that are here that prey upon children. The younger, the better. I'm beginning to see what's going on in an aspect that when you take the essence, particularly of newborn humans, and you extract that essence out. There are beings that feed upon that endow humans with special gifts, one being longevity of life, control. And, as I tell people, I'm dealing with some situations right now, dealing with where death is imminent, and the fear factor. What it's going to happen when I die. I've been knowing that this has been coming along, and it's like, yeah. But the thing about it is, the elite are certainly not worried about the afterlife. I think they know. And I think it's going to be a shock for many of us, because I think when we do make that transition, and, we're all going to face it. And just be honest, I'll just tell you, you are going to be afraid. We're all going to be afraid. I mean, it's that next step. But once you consume the fear and take the attitude of one person I know of recently, whose exact words, and I'm not making this up, exact words were, "Bring it on, motherfucker." And he went. And he went with a smile, I think that's the right attitude to go with, man. I mean, a lot better than going with the fear factor. I mean, go over there and say, "Hey, you're going to start something? Bring it on." I got the Mr. Smith attitude going, But yeah. But getting back to what we're dealing with here, it's not of this world. I'm convinced of it. The whole thing with the whole concept of the New World Order, this control matrix that's been in place goes back to the Sumerians. Probably goes back further than that, since they wiped our memory on it. We don't know. Some say that that the golems that they made for us, they never expected the essence of what we are, completely screwed the whole plan up. And in one case, we're almost a real oddity. Who knows? But if you think about it, why the control? Why the control immediately when you enter into this realm? I contend that this is the death realm. There's nothing that I see that lasts forever here. That tells me that there's something unique about the experience. Because if it doesn't last forever, our lives don't, our essences continue on. I'm not sure I'm buying the karma thing anymore. I keep saying this. If there's karma, there certainly seems to be a group that laugh at that. And I contend, if there's karma, the God of the Bible has got a shitload of bad karma. Bad karma. And explain that one to me. Well, God's got karma. BS. You know what? I'm going to put this out there. I contend there are no consequences. Here there are. Absolutely. There are laws that if you violate them, brother, they'll haul your ass off to jail. You be prison bound. And, but I don't think in the afterlife there are any consequences. I've seen too much evil in my lifetime. Men, women that operate in this realm with immunity, laughing at the barbaric concepts that most of us are indoctrinated with, which is religion itself. And that starts the control process. Oh, well, lying is bad, man. You can't. Everybody lies. Everybody. Well, you can't deceive your brother, man. Everybody deceives. And if you're telling me you've never deceived anyone, you're a liar again. telling me that there's this consequence in the after. There's no proof of it. You know, I read somewhere that apparently some cat that was an ex-Satanist. Number one, dude, if you were worshiping a creature named Satan, all you were doing were jerking yourself off. There isn't no such thing. But once you believe there is, then it becomes real. And here, anyway, he said that he was allowed to go to hell. And that made him convert into, you know, Christianity. And I went, I have a question in that aspect. So all these exorcisms that supposedly take place, are you telling me that all these demons are Christians? I mean, wait a minute. There's not freedom over there that they can't choose to be Islamic? Maybe they're Hindu. You see, it gets weird. It's programming. You know why I don't think that we hear from the vast majority of those who cross over? I think when they get over there, they're blown away in a place that far exceeds the imagination. One of delight, one of new experiences. That's why they don't come back. I'm convinced of it. And those souls that do seem to get trapped in here, either through traumatic death, whether it be murder, sudden death, like in a plane wreck, where you're pushed out immediately, there's that state. I think that they really want to be here. I think that they're still connected in the sensation of this reality. But if you condition your mind, for me, I expect to see Star Trek on the other side. I expect to see galaxies. I expect to begin to understand that my mind has been freed from this body. My spirit soars in the freedom of expression of thought, because this experience taught me how valuable thought can really be. Gets back to the whole control matrix. Let's see. Even those that run from religion and label themselves as witches. There you go. That's another one. You know, isn't it odd how you see, it's conditioned in us. Someone asked me this weekend, you know, do I believe in God? And I looked directly at them and said, which one? And the guy said, well, there's only one. And I said, who is that? He says, well, it's the God of the Bible. I said, which one? He said, I don't understand what you're saying. Which one? There's only one. I said, no, sir. Within your first chapter, you have 3 different ones. Which one are you wanting to talk about? And furthermore, which period? He said, you sound insane to me. I said, you sound symbiotic to me. He said, I don't understand how you could have been a practicing Christian and today you question God. And again, I said, which one? I said, is it the Hebrew God? Is it the Sumerian God? Mesopotamian God? Egyptian God? I said, is it the Jewish God? Is it the Christian God? Is it the Muslim God? Is it the Hindu gods? He says, well, those other religions are false. And I said, that's what they're saying about you. Folks, we got to wake up from this. I never said that there isn't what I would call a single source. But you know, the Big Bang is a lie. It's a theory. It's a false theory. Because the Big Bang is really about magic. It says that there was energy where there was no energy. That's magic. They can't explain to you how that happened. They can't explain to you why it happened. It's magic. And I say that part of the conditioning and control is that you are controlled. You have to pick a God. Why? Because that makes you a subservient, a servant, not elevating you in the beauty of who and what you are, the uniqueness of you, your energy. And while you're into this plane, you have the opportunity to blossom. You are in control of how much you want to move ahead. Yeah, well, I can tell you my wife wasn't too happy about it because she always goes, well, here he goes again. Yeah, and it's just respectful. I don't care. As I told him, I said, you know what? Believe what you want to believe. I'm all for that. Every human soul believes in something, if not themselves. But the problem that I see and that I have faced for nearly 6+ decades here, 6 decades, is the fact that I see so many people who hate themselves. And they do everything they can to self-anesthetize themselves through, whether it be through a myriad of different choices, never to learn to love themselves. And I'm telling you, when that moment comes for all of us, isn't it interesting if you talk to yourself and say, what a journey. I love myself. Because you know what? If you don't love yourself and you leave this plane, that may be the tentacle that keeps you here in the next life, and you're going to be the next poltergeist. Now that sucks. Learn to love yourself. And parents, teach that to your children. Tell your children at a very, very early age, tell them to love themselves. Not in the narcissistic or vain way, but for the appreciation of who and what they are is this energy. It's ridiculous when you think about it when a person says, oh, I just hate myself. I can't believe I did that. And you start cursing yourself and you start putting yourself down. And what you don't understand is that inside, you're beating yourself needlessly. Because self is going to say, I'm not perfect. What did you expect? We all strive and strive to begin to get better, but don't sabotage yourself. It's all right to be imperfect. It's okay. And admit the fact that, we are who we are. And I'll tell you, I think that that's one of the keys to get out from underneath a lot of this control. That's just me. All right. See, Deb says, taught my daughter that way, and she and her sons are and do not have the Vatican's death seal either. Fantastic, Deb. Way to go, girl. There's many, and this is what it's all about, folks. Yannick, hello. How are you doing? Hey, Cato, how are you doing? Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. Hey, Susie Q, thank you. Yeah, Skyheart, I really think it's the thing. And it certainly helps with others. When someone treats you, when you think that you've been wronged or whatever, yeah, sometimes it's good and go, you know what? That's me. Yeah. All right. And you go, okay. And, you have to mature. That's the idea. I mean, you always can be young at heart. Hello, Frank Sinatra. But, smile, folks. Smile. And I tell you, your spirit will soar. It will. I think that's what mine was doing last night. I've never had a night like that where it was just deep sleep. I mean, deep sleep. I don't know. Okay, well, tomorrow, Miss Trina, looking forward. Always have a good time with her. And Wednesday, Give me a second. I think we have, yes, we have another special guest, and Wayne will be coming on. So you're going to be meeting the Waynes. That's going to be pretty groovy. And yeah, so far out. All right, folks. Hey, I appreciate you. Thank you. You're all a beautiful group of people. It's an honor. It's a privilege to be here, and love this community. It's a community of just great energies. It really is. So, as the story goes, I'll see you tomorrow. All right. And in memory of Sammy Davis, peace, baby. Peace. Bye bye.